Hello and welcome. We are going to look into the upcoming full moon in Capricorn on July the 21st. Now, this is a very, very rare event. It is the second full moon in Capricorn that we are going to have, and it is going to offer us a bit of an opening to Leo season. So Leo season starts immediately after the full moon on the 22nd. So there's going to be a very significant shift of energy between the full moon and going into Leo season. So remember that we are also in a universal month number 6. So this is a beautiful month of love, of connection, of family, nurturing. It's very complementary with Cancer. So I'm not sure how you fared after the new moon in Cancer, but the energy was absolutely beautiful after it. So there was a very significant opening to love, to compassion, to the heart, to relationships as well. So you may have noticed a bit of a theme happening pertaining to some of those points after the new moon. But moving now into the full moon in Capricorn, we have a bit more heavier energy because of Saturn's retrograde and Saturn being Capricorn's ruling planet. There may be some hard lessons that need to be learned around this full moon, being very practical and being very mindful about what we need to do to get things done. Things also may feel a little bit slow and stagnant with Saturn retrograde right now. So I do feel that we have quite a few months of Saturn being retrograde, and this can feel a bit slower than usual. You may find that the pace has slowed down in some kind of way. Now, with the full moon in Capricorn, this is going to give an excellent time for a review based on what needs to be reassessed, what needs to be maybe reestablished or established, what needs focus regarding your goals and your practical results and ways of executing your goals. So what needs to be done, what needs to be executed as far as those hard, tangible, maybe monetary, work-related, or even personal goals. This is a time during the full moon to become a bit more goal-oriented, and especially moving into Leo season. So I'll talk about the dynamic between these two energies and what's going to happen. But first, I'm going to talk about the polarities between Cancer and Capricorn. Now, because this full moon is another full moon in Capricorn, the energy is different, of course, because there are other things in play. You are probably in a different place than where you were a month ago. Most likely, we are changing, of course. So use this full moon to where you are at today. What lessons have you learned? And then, of course, because we are at the tail end of Cancer season, we have the origin, we have the heart, we have the home versus the goals, versus the outwardly drive and determination to be independent, to be successful, to be goal-oriented and motivated to create change. Now, because Capricorn is at the tail end of the zodiac calendar, it is more of a mature sign. So this is all about independence. It's all about knowing one's self-worth. It's all about knowing your abilities and your capabilities to create the life that you desire. Mostly, of course, in the material realm, in the earth realm. It can also be around physicality. It can pertain to any kind of goals in the material realm, but it does have a stronger emphasis on financial goals, material goals, possessions, etc. So this is a time to get a little bit more serious, but also watch the dualities or the polarities between the Cancer and the Capricorn archetype. So remember that Cancer is all about the home. It's all about connection, love, nurturance, also embodying heart-centered energy or heart-centered connection. Now, Capricorn is a bit more, I feel, independent in the way of the goals and the aspirations that one can develop within their life. Because we also have the mother-father archetype in these two dynamics, meaning Cancer is more of the mother, it is more of the feminine archetype, if you will, related to the moon, very much of the heart, emotional self, the intuition, the creative self, and then Capricorn being more of the masculine or the father archetype ruled by Saturn, which is very much relating to rules, regulation, structure, discipline. So we have a bit of unconditional love. With Cancer, we have a bit more of conditional love. So if you are finding any of these polarities out of balance, it could be a good time during this full moon to bring it into balance and prepare for Leo season, which I'll get to in just a moment. We also have the polarities between personal life versus professional life, right? So in our society, our modern society, we can become very work dominated, where we are pushing aside interpersonal relationships. We could be pushing aside connectedness with others, meaningful connection, spending time with family, spending time with loved one, connecting from an emotional and very personal and empathetic and compassionate way. If our mind is more towards our career, we can be drifting towards that more than the other, or vice versa. So this can also be an invitation to look within yourself or look within your relationship dynamics. And is there more of an emphasis on results, performance, goals, expectations, conditional love versus unconditional love? Or is there an emphasis more on work, performance, results, money, for example, or even stress and pressure around money and lack, which I'll get to in a moment, because that's going to be a bit of the shadow side, which of course this full moon is going to allow us to look at. So is there a dominant energy, for example, pertaining to career, status, wealth, money, performance, goals, etc., versus matters of the home or matters of the heart or relationships or love? So there's also going to be an interplay. We can look also at the intuition versus the more headstrong, empowered energy. So if we are not tuning in with our intuition, then we could be missing out on important clues and cues that are going to help us achieve our goals. So our intuition is our guide. I already uploaded a video on the intuition. Your intuition is going to tell you the direction you need to take. Your intuition is going to tell you to slow down. Your intuition is going to nudge you to maybe create a very strong, meaningful connection with someone close to you rather than focusing on work all the time. So your intuition is also going to tell you what job to take versus what job not to take, or what relationship to be in versus what relationship not to be in. So you're going to have the dynamics of these polarities here to work with for the full moon. So you can pay attention to your intuition. You can incorporate that into your full moon ritual, and also the unconditional love versus conditional love, what that feels like to you, and is there imbalance in any kind of way. Conditional love means expectations, putting pressure on relationships, can be a bit controlling and can be a bit locked in with certain rules, and again, the expectations aspect. So conditional love versus unconditional love, which is the ability to let go, and not letting go of a relationship. It's letting go of the inner self of needing certainty and needing control and needing maybe things done a certain way in the structure, etc., a bit of rigidity or whatnot. But if you combine both of them together, you can have a very, very complementary relationship. So yes, goals are important, maybe some expectations in certain ways if it's not too imbalanced or in the shadow, but also the unconditional love of being very caring and open and understanding. So unconditional love has no boundaries. It is limitless, and we can embody that within ourselves. It doesn't mean that we need to put this in practice with a relationship necessarily. Of course, it is very beneficial in a relationship, but I feel it is most important for us to put these practices into place within ourselves first. And then we get to exercise it in our outer world and with relationships and outer dynamics in our lives. So again, unconditional love versus conditional love. Is there an imbalance? Is there something from the shadow side that is placing expectations and pressure and rigidity and structure and control within certain relationship dynamics, or even within self? Now, of course, the full moons, I always look at the shadow aspect because this is a very powerful time to look at our deeper unconscious self, our unconscious behavioral patterns, where our imbalances may reside. And also, of course, because this is Capricorn, where are the shadowy aspects of Capricorn playing into our daily life? Now, Capricorn, as I mentioned, we have the sea goat, a very ambitious, a very productive, and a very determined archetype. It is at the end-ish of the zodiac calendar, moving us towards the end of the zodiac calendar. So it's a more mature sign where there's a great deal of confidence that is being brought into ourselves to create our big goals, and also to look after ourselves, to take care of ourselves. It's very mature. It's a very self-sustaining, a very developed archetype. So when we are in this archetype, we can also be very dominant in some of these energies. We may be too independent. We're moving into Aquarius next in the full moon or in the zodiac calendar. So that does move us to a more independent sense of self. Is there too much energy and too much emphasis put towards goals, responsibility, finances, structure, results? So if we have such a strong emphasis on that within our lives, we are going to miss out on so many other things. And Cancer is all about the emotions and the connection and the love and the nurturance, and also the the depth of connection based on the emotional connections or even emotional awareness with life itself. So we can cut out a lot from life itself if we are so dominant in work, in functioning. This kind of goes into the patriarchal structure of society. We can be very dominant in this energy, maybe more in the masculine archetype, for example. So where is the masculine archetype, or where is this energy of the Capricorn shadow maybe dominating your day-to-day? Are you stressed out about finances? Are you stressed out about work? Is there lack energy, lack, struggle, insecurity or instability pertaining to your future goals? Now, this is a time to let that go, and let it go, because right after this, we're moving into Leo season. And that's why this is very important. So if there is lack, fear, worry, anything that is suppressing your fire and your ability to rise above and to self-express and to create, this full moon is going to allow you to release. It's going to allow you to identify the origin of the fears, of the worry, of the stress, of the lack, of the pressure that is placed on self, right? And we can all find ourselves being stressed about money, putting pressure on ourselves for results and goals that we may not have seen or we may not have achieved yet. But we are also in a very multidimensional experience. And of course, I'm sure you watching, you are very self-aware. You are going through this process and understanding more and more that when we are connecting with the dimensions of ourselves and working with the archetypes and working with these lunar cycles are very complementary for this type of work, then we understand that there are so many dimensions to life itself, and there is a lot unfolding under the surface that we can't see until it arrives, until it shows up. So being in flow and being in surrender and full understanding that there is a process for everything that we are creating, and letting go of the stress, the pressure, the lack, the fear, the insecurity, the emphasis on money, the results, the goals, etc. When we accept the process as it is, we let go of a tremendous amount of energy, because this is all energy. And the more stress and pressure that we place on ourselves or on our future, then we are chasing something constantly. We are going to have a very hard time breaking that cycle and dropping into the present moment, because the present moment is where we get to create. The present moment is where we get to enjoy. We are not slaves here. We are not slaves to ourselves. We're not slaves to society, although we can feel that way. And we have been conditioned in many ways to feel that. But this whole exercise here, and where I'm going with this, is so that we can slow down and so that we can truly create, especially moving into Leo season, which again, I will get to in just a moment. But this full moon, take time to note if there are any stressors, if there's pressure, fear, lack, worry, scarcity, struggle around the goals and maybe finances or financial situation, and try to find a way to identify the origin. So go into the shadow. You can connect the dots with the belief of what is creating that fear, that lack, that worry, and where can you incorporate more trust and let go of the pressure and the stress and the strain that may be placed on self or placed towards the future, and exercise your practice of being more in the present moment. And in the present moment, you can let go. You can let go and trust yourself and trust your abilities and capabilities to climb that mountain and to create the goals that you desire, and know that there is a process of unfolding that needs to happen for you to create those goals. But if you know what you want, which is very important, and you know where you're going, which is very important, while also being open to some changes that the universe may show for or provide for you, then what do you have to worry about? You're creating it. So it's all about letting go of that pressure and that stress that can be placed on self, and being in the more dominant energy of the masculine archetype. For example, is there a lack of perseverance? Is there a lack of resiliency? Is there a lack of dedication and determination that needs to be brought forth to empower yourself to see your goals through, or to create the change that you desire in your life? So take some time to see maybe where the imbalances reside, and how can you identify the origin within the shadow, within the unconscious self, to let it go. Now, you may identify the origin and the shadow by tracing back to family behavioral patterns, which is the best origin of all. You can identify some of the patterns that you have been in yourself and find the origin of them, or I just at least see the patterns, which is big. When we identify these patterns, we see them for what they are. And that is a very strong process of unraveling, of identifying what these patterns are, where they're coming from, and then it is a process of letting them go and integrating greater change into your life. So really the identifying of patterns, being very aware, mindful, and then looking at some of these more shadowy aspects of Capricorn and how they are playing into your life, preparing for Leo season, which now we get to go into, which is a time of expression and creation. It is a time to be bold. It is a time to express yourself, and it is a time to be authentic. And what does that mean? It is a time to embrace your true self. It's a time to embrace the fire within, your limitless potential. So see this full moon as an opportunity, a very powerful opportunity. I just got shivers. A very powerful opportunity to remove that block, to get it out of the way of energetic flow, of trusting yourself and believing in your limitless ability to create and to self-express. You know, it is a very beautiful energy that we're moving into. This is all about radiance. It is all about self-expression. It's a time to be bold. It's a time to be daring. We also have right now Venus in Leo, which is very complementary for this. So everything is energy. Everything is energy. Our mind creates energy if it is flow or if it is a block. Our emotions create energy if it is a stuckness, if it is a sickness, if it is unconditional love and openness and creativity. So everything is energy. And so use this full moon as a very powerful opportunity to kick that energetic block out there so you can have more flow moving into Leo season to create, to express, and to be bold in what you want to do and who you are, how you want to express yourself, how you want to be, and also reflective of the relationships around you. So remembering that Venus is in Leo as well, which is very complementary, especially for career, especially for enjoying the finer things in life and relationships. So this could take relationships to a new level. It could take your career to a new level, and it definitely can take your sense of self to another level. How you are expressing yourself, how you are showing up, and of course the relationships around you. Now, don't forget that we are in a universal month number 6 in this month of July, which is reflective of love. It's reflective of love towards ourselves. Most importantly, it is reflective of love towards others. It can be reflective of love in relationships, but also don't forget about those boundaries. That is a shadow aspect of the 6. So make sure that you know what you want. You have your own boundaries in place. You know where you feel comfortable or uncomfortable and implement the boundaries accordingly. And then also be very discerning with what you are allowing into your life or where you are investing your time and energy. I also have a full moon ritual for this very special full moon. There is a link in the description box below, and I will be posting it on the community board as well. It is by donation, and it will offer you some insight. And I fine-tweaked my ritual format from my original one into something new and really beautiful. So there is a ritual for you to work with for the full moon, to work with this energy and prepare for a whole new experience ahead. So I'm wishing you all the best during this beautiful full moon and beyond, and I will see you again very soon. Take care.